Next and finally like to call Antwuan Wallace, who is a PhD candidate at the Milano School of New School University.
Hi, I really appreciate this opportunity, and I'm just actually in town for about 2 more days. I was here defending the first 3 chapters of my dissertation, which is on digital inclusion plans, looking at Castell's theoretical model and William Julius Wilson's work on economic restructuring and what it means for a dual economy, particularly looking in low-income ethnic minority communities and looking for relevant content and means by which community-based organizations work with the most vulnerable populations, particularly young people and senior adults. I really appreciate this opportunity, but what I wanted to do was to remind many of us that the working poor are at work right now and don't have the opportunities to weigh in on this debate online quite often, and rely heavily on the means of offline organizing, which, by my observation, traveling over like 20 cities over the last year, is really marginalized even within the debate when we talk about broadband connectivity. There is a preference by policymakers and decision makers from the federal level all the way down to the local municipality to favor online organizing as it speaks from elite, with elite narratives. It uses terms that resonate with a voting population and certainly with business interest. I'm not here to advocate for any one or another particular type of system. Rather, I'm here to talk about more inclusive processes and decision making where these communities are concerned. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there questions for Mr. Wallace? Well, he's still Mr. Wallace and not Dr. Wallace.
You got 3 months.
I do have a question before he establishes a bill and rate for services.
I already have one.
But in your research, as it relates to, I guess, underserved communities, what are you finding as the sort of running theme?
There are two things when we talk about. You have to understand 2 things. One, which is access, and access defined as access to infrastructure. Many people here, since I've been here, have talked about not having a veritable connection. And oftentimes when we talk about that connection is proprietary and is insecure and fallible and does not actually meet the needs of the constituency or the customer, a paying customer, an overpaying customer when we look at global rates for transmission of broadband connectivity. And then there's access to to devices and relevant, socioculturally relevant content. I think a lot of people think that because I have a BlackBerry or next month I'll have an iPhone, that I'll be somehow connected. But what I'm finding is that young, poor people living and struggling in poor working class communities have their opportunity structure realigned when they are using technology in coordination with community-based organizations and other organizations that change their opportunity structures. It seems to me that if we think providing broadband connectivity and or giving people a laptop is going to, quote, attend to this issue of a digital divide or any number of online or offline inequities, I think is a fallacy. People are online looking for content that means something to their lives and that provides them with new opportunities to move and participate, particularly around issues of economics, of civic participation, and certainly electoral politics, given the way that our candidates have come out this year. And so I'm finding that many people are trying to find themselves within this digital milieu of really looking for agency. And I think it bears great consideration by this board and others to really think about meaningful ways of making that happen.
Well, thank you, and I would also say that I appreciate the comment you made with respect to the fact that the working poor are not here because they're at work and they're not connected, and that means an awful lot. Obviously, probably everyone in this room is connected in one shape, form, or another, and I think this committee may really want to look at that issue to make sure that we're being as inclusive as possible and getting as much input from the public as possible And you know, it may be a scheduling issue, but I think it's something to think about. Thank you.
Yes.